Hi, I'm Dr. Alice. In today's lecture, I'll be talking about Clostridium tetani. So, in this lecture, we'll be seeing about the genus Clostridium, its characteristics, the morphology of Clostridium tetani, its pathogenesis, its clinical manifestations, epidemiology, its laboratory diagnosis, treatment, and prophylactic measures. So, before moving into Clostridium tetani, I just want to introduce about this genus Clostridium, which has some special characteristics. So, one is they are gram-positive bacilli. Second, they are anaerobes. Third, they are spore-forming bacteria. And now, when you see the spores of this bacteria, they bulge outside the vegetative cell. So, they produce bulging spores. And they have the typical spindle shaped, okay. So, that's why they are called as Clostridium. Closter means spindle, okay. And now what medium is used to grow this Clostridium? We use Robertson's cooked meat medium to cultivate this bacteria. So, now some species of Clostridium will act on the carbohydrates that is present in the medium and it change the meat into pink color. So, those are called as saccharolytic bacteria. Some will act on the protein that is present in the meat and they will turn the meat into black color. So, those are called as proteolytic bacteria. Okay, so these are the common characteristics of this genus Clostridium. So, now there are some exceptions. I said they are spore forming bacteria, but spores are rarely found. They are formed but rarely found in Clostridium perfringens and Clostridium ramosum. And I said it is obligate anaerobe. Okay, some can tolerate a little amount of oxygen. Those are called as aerotolerant organisms like tertium and histolyticum. Okay, and then gram negative. Some will be, you cannot call it as gram negative, but then it will be gram variable. Okay, example is Clostridium ramosum and Clostridium clostridiform. So now coming to the habitat of this genus Clostridia. There are about 177 species defined and they are present everywhere. They are ubiquitous in nature. They are present in soil, sewage and water. And they form the part of the normal flora of our intestine, both in humans as well as animals. And most of the species are harmless saprophytes. Okay, so they don't cause any clinical infection. So now let's see what are the species of Clostridia that cause clinical infection in humans and exist as human pathogens. So, the clinical infection caused by these organisms include gas gangrene, which caused by, and gas gangrene is a polymicrobial infection. It is not caused by a single species. It is caused by Perfringens septicum novae and histolyticum. And then tetanus is caused by tetani. And then food poisoning, some types of Clostridium perfringens can also cause food poisoning, like it causes gastroenteritis, or type C causes necrotizing enteritis, and Clostridium botulinum causes botulism. And now Clostridium difficile, it causes acute colitis or antibiotic associated diarrhea. You can also call it as pseudomembranous colitis. So now what are the virulence factors of these pathogenic Clostridia? The main thing is they form spores, okay. So, they can survive in adverse environmental conditions. That's why the spores of this Clostridia are present in the soil and they act as a main source of infection, mainly when a wound contaminated with dust or soil. Okay, so the infection is very common in individuals who encounter road traffic accidents, war injuries. Okay, so these patients, these individuals, they come across this Clostridial infection. Okay. And the second one is they can grow in nutrition-rich, oxygen-deprived environment. Okay, so that is why in crush injuries, this bacteria causes infection. Okay, so when there is no proper blood supply, no oxygen. Okay, so good anaerobic atmosphere for the bacteria to multiply. Okay, and then it's rich in nutrition. Okay, so nutrition is supplied by us. So, it happily multiplies and it establishes the infection. And then the third important virulence factor is that it produces toxins. Okay, some produces histolytic toxins like Clostridium perfringens, and some produces enterotoxins, and some produces neurotoxins like Clostridium botulinum and Clostridium tetani. So now let's move on to a case. So here a 48-year-old man came to the emergency department with chief complaints of jaw discomfort and inability to open his mouth for 3 days. He also said he had struck his right hand with a hammer 10 days earlier while attempting to fix his lawn. So the hammer had penetrated deeply through the skin, and although the wound was hurt and bled, he had not sought any medical attention. So there is a delay here. Okay, 7 days after the original insult, he started to experience trismus and muscle rigidity. Okay, so this is the history. Okay, so he has got a jaw discomfort and he has got injured by a hammer. Probably it might have got the spores of Clostridia. Okay, and the main manifestation in Clostridium tetani infection is that there will be muscle spasms. Okay, so the probable diagnosis that you can make here is it could be tetanus. Okay, so we move on to Clostridium tetani. So what is the morphology of Clostridium tetani? It produces bulging spores. Okay, and the spores will be terminal in nature. Okay, so it has got the typical drumstick shaped appearance. Okay, so now morphology of this bacteria, they are spore former and they form round terminal spores giving you the typical drumstick appearance, and they are very much sensitive to oxygen. Okay, so even a small exposure to oxygen, it will die. Okay, another property is that they can swarm in the medium. Okay, like Proteus. Okay, they can swarm in the medium. And they are non-capsulated and motile by peritrichate flagella. So that is the morphology of Clostridium tetani.